here. All right, maybe we can live with that. 400, 100. Sorry for the technical difficulty here, folks. Actually, I did. Let's try that just to be consistent. Okay, yeah, it looks like good numbers. I just not updated my camera settings in a second place. So, all right. Oh, well, it's not perfect, but let's go with it. Hey, I'm Eddie Bush. Welcome to my channel. If you haven't been here before, I hope you'll follow or subscribe. If you like this video, feel free to like this video. It helps me understand what I'm doing that you enjoy. And feel free to leave comments. This will be going up on YouTube eventually, so that's a good place to give comments. And of course, if you're here live, you're more than welcome to put your comments in chat. And that's always appreciated. Okay, let's see. So, last time we started a series on Dave Thomas's Checkout Kata. And we're heading after something like this. We're trying to come up with something that lets us have some interesting pricing rules. And the pricing rules, we drop them in and we configure a checkout to have the pricing rules, and then we scan items, and yeah. And we want the checkout decoupled from the pricing rules so that it's easy to swap them out, maybe even to change the format at some point. We're not there yet at all, but it's we're taking baby steps toward that. We're kind of about right here. We did 2 tests for 1 item instead of going to a test for 2 items, as Dave did, because if you think back, we were driving this table out right here, and we did that with triangulation. These 2 tests really gave us some triangulation to say, a scalar value is not enough. We need a variable there, right? And well, even a variable isn't enough. We need something. We need some statements there. Thinking about it from TPP perspective, and we really turn it into this lookup, because what we said is anytime we've got an if structure that like an if, else if, and I mean, it could be a set of guards. If this, return this value. If this, return this value. If this, return this value. Or it could be a switch case. All these are the same thing. They look a little different in syntax, but they're the same thing. And when we're taking, and all we're doing is we're swapping one value for another. In this case, we're taking the SKU and we're getting a price. We can always put that in a map. And it's just a cleaner way to do it. It's so much easier to look at, so much more straightforward to understand. I mean, you just look at it and you're like, oh, okay, we just get the price based off the SKU, right? I don't know if I'd love this sitting here thinking about it. Dave called it a checkout. We're calling it shopping cart. This actually isn't good. You know, it's the test name that's off. Let's do this because make sure that the tests are green. Okay, so we can refactor. So let's rename this, and this will be checkout test. How's that? It's interesting. He called it test price, but he was just testing that function, right? Which actually checks it's actually testing the checkout. So I don't know that I love his naming here actually, but whatever. He's got actually that's really just a helper function for him to be able to um, um, have this convenience method of saying I've got this set of items and then within his test be able to turn that into a bunch of successive calls to scan. Maybe we'll do something like that. We're not at a place that it really matters yet. I kind of like the way that our tests are. So, yeah. So I thought I'd jump on this morning and just kind of get to, grease the joints a little bit. It's nice to kind of start your day with a little bit of code, right? And if what you're trying to do is you're trying to learn how to do test-driven development, then there are way worse things you can do than get up in the morning, sit down, and do a kata for a little bit. So I thought I'd sit down and do a kata for a little bit. I don't know. I'm looking at this and I'm really wondering, I'm back to this duplication, right? We've got this A and this 50 and this B and this 30, and here they are again. And the problem is they're the exact same values, which means that this is duplication, right? We don't like that. And it's not really serving us a purpose. Sometimes duplication does, and we'll let it accumulate for a second so that we can begin to see a pattern emerge. But we've already seen the pattern, and we've dealt with it, right? The pattern was the lookup table, and we did this in response to that. We know we want this to be fairly independent, and in fact, if we look back, we know that what we're doing right now is good for this first set of stuff. But if we look at the second stuff, being more arbitrary and doing combinations and stuff of things and stuff, of items, excuse. This is very technical language, stuff and things. We know that what we're doing is a bit naive, and it's going to need to evolve at some point. There's really maybe a couple of different things going on here, though. There's the checkout itself is if you think about it, when you go to a checkout, a POS terminal, right, point of sale terminal, a register. What is that register in charge of? What should it really be responsible for? It should be responsible for its hardware, all of its attached peripherals, the little sign that sets up, to the side and displays to you how much things are, and gives you a total as it goes along. Should be responsible for controlling that stuff, maybe. But it doesn't make sense that the checkout itself, is going to even have pricing rules. It seems like it's probably going to have to go someplace else for the pricing. But it's the place that we get the SKU. You're taking it across the scanner. You're like, oh, here's one. And so there's a collaboration here that needs to happen, right? And right now, we're just kind of collaborating with a map, but I think the thing to do here is to start birthing this out as a different concept, um, and right before we do that, I think we might as well go ahead and let's do another test to kind of drive out the need to accumulate prices, right? So we can do a simple thing to do that. For example, do 80 cents for A and B. And I'm just going to do this. Run the tests, and it doesn't work. Uh-oh. You know, that's interesting because I ran the test already, and when I hit Shift F10, I've done something bad here. What is it? So when I refactored, this didn't get updated, but I think it's getting in my way. So let's see. Yeah, okay, that's what's going on. Weird. I used the rename refactoring, so I would have thought that that would have caught it, but apparently that's not good enough. Okay, so we can see here. So we expected 80, but it was 30. And why is that? Do we understand why that is? Well, because each time we scan, we reassign total. We're not accumulating. So I think the answer here is something like that. And gosh, that seemed like a small thing. Why didn't I just do it before? Because it's different behavior, right? I gave myself this test to force me to do that. And now I know, for now to eternity, when somebody deletes that test, that works. It's a small step, right? But if I'm introducing new behavior, I want to do it with a test. Okay, now I really am in a spot that this is looking pretty good, and for where we're at. So I'm gonna do a refactoring here that lets me basically pull this stuff out into another class, and it used to be extract class, but I think nowadays they call it extract delegate. And so I'll do this extract delegate. Uh-oh. The refactoring is not supported on non-static. Well, let's make it static then. Okay, and we'll call this we're not ready for that. Actually, we have another problem as I'm thinking about it. And that problem is that this is really subtle, but what do you think scan should do? And what do you think total should do? Stop and think about that for a second. Just we we want we want functions to be such that their name tells us exactly what they do. And I think it was Ward Cunningham who said, that a function is named well when you go to it and you're not surprised about what you find. If you came to scan and you noticed it was doing these things, would you be surprised at what you found? If you looked at total, would you be surprised at what you found? When you hear the word scan, does it make you think that you're accumulating a total? And when you hear total, does it make you think, oh, just give me a value back? So we've really got some misplaced responsibilities here. And what we would like to do, so we're green, this is a good place to realize it. What we'd really like to do here is we want scan to be responsible for just capturing things, and then total to actually do the total. And this is I hadn't noticed this before, but as I was thinking about pulling this processing out, what I realized is we're going to have combinations, right? And if we're always just doing it one at a time, it doesn't have enough information to be able to do combinations. And so what we're going to need to do is actually just kind of send it the items and let it tell us, how to price them. And so, yeah. So I hope this is kind of dispelling a bit of a myth that I think gets brought up for TDD, which is that you're just sitting there banging on tests, and there's no need to stop and think about stuff. The fact is, you better stop and think about stuff. Let's see here.
Start. I noticed how all these people that.
Well, that's not what I wanted. Okay. Yeah, okay, yeah. You're hearing me. Nobody there right now. 18 minutes. Yeah, so when I think about it like that, and I look at the code that I've got, I'm not positioned for that, right? And that then made me look at it and think. Then I started really thinking more critically. I should have been thinking more critically earlier, but better late than never. And it's dawned on me, like, that's not going to work, dude. So, what I'm really doing here is let me move this around. So I think long term I'm not going to need total, but what I'm going to need is let's do this a list. You may notice that if you're used to putting the type of stuff on there as you do it, for example, like maybe you would have said price map or SKU list or something, right? That's a bad thing. That's actually a code smell called Hungarian notation. It's called Hungarian notation because Well, it used to be a good thing. It used to be helpful back before we had such good tools. We were basically just using text editors at one point in time. And well, Hungarian notation was developed by a Hungarian, and that's why they call it Hungarian notation. But anytime you're encoding scope or type information into the name of a variable, that's Hungarian notation, and we just don't do it. We want the names to tell us the essence of why that thing exists. What service or value is it providing to us? Not its type. We want the ability to change the type without having to rename everything. When it's in a narrow scope like this, it wouldn't be such a big deal to do the renaming. But the fact is that people forget that. Yeah. Okay, so we got our SKUs, and let's see. We got a constructor, so let's just initialize that in the constructor. Okay, now I don't think I'm breaking anything, but I'm going to run this anyway. Okay. And I'm just going to start doing that. Still shouldn't have broken anything. And now this I can actually replace with SKUs dot I want to stream it, and then I want to map it to this for right now. This is fine. Okay, so I'm going to back up here a sec. Because I think then I can just do this. I think that passes the test. Okay, good. And now I don't need total, because total is a behavior now instead of an attribute. Okay. So I think what I want to do now is I want to make this a function, and this is I don't have a name for it. I'm going to call it applesauce. There's a thing, I think it's Arlo Belshi, talks about naming as a process, and sometimes a good name is not clear. It's not apparent to you, like what you want to name something. And so the best thing you can do is give that thing such an obviously bad name that you don't think it's a good name, and it'll make you want to change it later. So I'm going to call it applesauce because I just don't know. I don't know what this is right now. But what I do know is I want to kick the SKUs out. I want to kick the SKUs out. So I'm going to introduce a parameter. This is a Command Option P for me. You can always go to your refactoring menu, whatever that is for you with your key bindings. And there it is, introduce parameter. I don't need the 1 on there, thank you. It's just SKUs. All right. Actually, I think instead of writing it like this, I could just write it like that. And what else could we do here? Well, I don't like this in a way, but whatever. I can't get away from, and I know this is sort of beyond the scope of this kata, but the notion that this would be part of a sale, and probably there's a sale object that I'm accumulating things onto. Um, anyway, let's moving on. We've been at this about 28 minutes. A little bit at the beginning was just kind of getting going. Hey, whoever you are out there. Nice to see people. Feel free to say something if you'd like. All right, so let's see here. I'm going to take this, I think, and this got rid of the. Well, we haven't gotten rid of the table yet. Let's go ahead and do that delegate. I think we'll do the delegate. That'll be a good stopping place. And you know what? I'm going to call this compute total for now. I don't love it. I think that it's very honest, and I think there's a better name hiding, and maybe I'll see it eventually. But I'm forcing myself to do that because I really want to kick this out to a delegate, and well, you'll see where we go here in a second. All right, so let's kick this out to a delegate. And yeah, we want to take this guy too, because our delegate's going to have the SKU pricing, and compute total needs that. And we're going to call this we're going to call it pricing rules. Is what we're going to call And let's see where that gets us. Well, it kicked it out here. I didn't really want it there. I actually want it, as crazy as it sounds, because again, we're doing this TDD as if you mean it. I want it here. Oh yeah, I forgot. I don't have to have that. Oh, it did that. That silly thing. Resolve method put. String int. Oh, look at that. Oh my goodness. Ugh. Bad IDE. Bad IDE. That's not nice. Look at that, putting null in there. I don't want that class yet. I'm just going to keep it in the test. Okay. Now this is a step better, but now, oh, let's see. What if we did test still run, right? Yeah. What if we could take this a step further, and we could put an interface between this. I think eventually I would want to do that. I don't know if I care about it right now. I think really the more important thing is this. And so we can kick this out by doing a I'm not seeing it. Yeah, okay, here's what I'm thinking. Move initializer to constructor. Yep. And now what we can do is we can make this a parameter. And now what we got is we have shoved this out. You know, let's make sure we're still running. You know, if you look at this, like I should have seen this already, but we're really duplicating this, right? This is absolutely just rotely duplicated. So this guy could, yeah, it's not going to give me a quick fix, is it? I guess actually that is what I want to do. I want to introduce a field, and I want to initialize in a setup method. Yeah, there we go. And let's make sure that still works. And so now I can get rid of that. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. I'm somewhat conflicted about that, by the way, because now I've got to go look at the setup method to see how I'm arranging things. Um, you know, a lot of people think this is a good thing to do. I go back and forth. Um, if this were production code, yeah, um, I would sure want to see it like that. But for tests, I feel like sometimes I feel like we lose a little bit of information, and so yeah, sometimes I feel like we lose some information. But let's rock on. We may show a different way we can do that, but let's rock on. This is all working right now. It seems like a good place to stop. Nobody's talking. Okay. All right. Well, hey, this has been part 2 of the checkout kata in Java. I'm Eddie Bush. Thanks for coming by the channel. Hope we see you again.